All right, in this video, I'm gonna teach you to become a window expert in just 10 minutes. Okay, now the main purpose of this video is number one, I want you to be able to recognize which windows are our windows or our type of window, a very high quality, high-end, new replacement window, and which ones are not. Okay, anything that's not, you should be knocking. And number two, I just want to give you a general background on different types of windows, how to recognize original versus replaced, and kind of gauge how long a window has been in a home, as well as some common issues you're going to see in windows that are pain points for customers after 10, 15, 20 years of having their windows in their home. So let's dive in. All right, guys, let's dive into this. Now, just a little bit of background knowledge. As you're walking through a neighborhood, what you're going to be looking for are the most common type of window in the home, because builders, the way that they build developments is they usually build most of the homes at the same time. It's the same builder, which means they also are using the same windows. So if you're finding that 90% of the homes have that exact same style of window and same frame, then every home that you walk up to that has that exact same window in that neighborhood, that means that that window is an original window. You're for sure knocking that door. A key telltale sign of a builder's grade original window is number one, it's got a really thin frame. So you can look at all these pictures right here, really thin frame. This one's replaced, but it's still a thin frame. It's just a builder's grade window. This one's original, thin frame, builder's grade, thin frame, aluminum, versus this one, okay, over here, this one has a lot thicker of a frame. So that one is not an original one. Now, another way you can tell if it's an original or if it's really old is the caulking and the sealants around the edges. So if I zoom in on this one, you can see how cracked all of this caulking is, okay, up along the edges. That thing has obviously been there for years and years, just breaking down, expanding and contracting and getting those cracks in it. Now I also like people to be able to recognize what type of frame it's made out of, just to have some general background. So this one is white, and you can see that the corners of this that are holding in the glass here are actually beveled. Okay, you can see right here, it's like a beveled corner, goes all along around that edges there. That's an aluminum, or sorry, that's a vinyl window. Now an aluminum window, if it's not painted, it's really easy to tell because it's obviously just metal color, it's just aluminum. But the way to tell, even if it is painted, is you're looking for these screws. Okay, you can see that screw, and that screw, and that screw. So always on the joints of the up and down versus the horizontal ones, they're gonna have screws in them. So let's go to a white aluminum window. So this one you might think is vinyl, but you look at here and we've got a screw and a screw. That's aluminum. Now this one right here is actually the same exact building as this one. So this one was the original, and then you can tell that this one's obviously replaced because it's a vinyl window on a building where the rest of the windows are aluminum. But it is still builder's grade. You can tell because it has the thin frames, nothing fancy about it, pretty crappy caulk job in there. So I'm definitely still knocking a home that has a replacement like that. Now, siding is really easy to tell if it's been replaced because on a new construction home, the siding is going to butt straight into the edge of the window. Okay, so right here you can see I've got the window, and then this strip right here, that's the same color as the siding, that's called a J-channel, and then all of your siding just tucks right behind that J-channel, and that J-channel just butts up to the edge of the original window. So that one's original. It's also, you can see it's super faded and the blinds are all yellow. This one's original, same thing. Okay, the siding's going right into the edge of this window, and looking at the screws, so that's a aluminum window versus these windows, okay? Look how much wider this frame is. And it also has what's called a European bevel. So our windows that we sell have this bevel. So you can see right here, this bevel that I'm outlining, okay, it kind of just pops out from the window. Okay, this is the edge of that. That's the European bevel. And then it also has a flange on it right here. That part covers the J channel of the siding, and it just adheres to it, and that's how we weatherproof it. So it's really easy to tell a replacement versus an original in siding. The other thing you're looking for in a nice new window is a really dark tint. So you can see how this one, this one, this one, this one, they're really hard to see into the house. It's a lot darker. It kind of has that greenish tint to it. Versus these, you can see straight into the home and there's no tint at all. Now on a stucco window, the way that you can tell if it's original, again, looking for the thin frame, but also the way that they build a home is they frame the home, so it's just wood, and then they put the windows in, and then they put the siding or the stucco on. And so if you had the window installed before this siding was put on there, then what you're gonna see is a lot of times some overlap of stucco on the actual window. So if you're looking up close there, you can see that as they made this, that kind of just spilled over. And so you obviously know that this window was there before they put the siding on, so it's an original. Versus this one, okay, it has the European bevel, it has this flange. This is actually called a stucco fin. And so it's made to just sit right flat on the stucco. And so obviously you're not gonna have any stucco spill over onto the window because the window was put on after the stucco. Now, some homes, they will have replacements, but they're just pretty crappy window, just a cheap builder's grade from Home Depot, Jones Paint and Glass, whatever. Thin frames, okay, a lot of them, they'll have kind of yellowed frames. So you can see this house was painted nice and white, but the window is turning all yellow, okay? And then some common issues that you're gonna see on old windows is number one, the fading, okay, I kind of pointed that out. Number two is some seal failure. That's when this is supposed to be an airtight chamber in between the two panes of glass, but when that seal fails, you start to get condensation. It looks really bad. It fogs up the glass like this. You can't see through it hardly anymore. It can get really bad. People hate it. You can't get rid of it. The other thing that can happen is tint failure. So a lot of windows after about 2004, they put a film on it. It's called Low E. It's just a metallic film that helps block out heat and UV rays. After about 10-15 years, that film starts to go bad and it looks like this. Okay, all of these windows have it. That process can get sped up when there's seal failure, because then the moisture and air actually oxidizes that metallic coating and it turns like this, looks awful, it's hard to see through. And then another problem, here's some more pictures of the warping and fading of the frames, the grids, and the blinds behind them. These are some pretty extreme examples, but you'll see these all the time. I mean, look at this one, their blinds literally fell. It looks like there's a fire in their home, but that's just because that is a west-facing window, letting through almost all of the heat and the UV rays. This one's really bad as well. So those are some really big pain points that you're looking for as you're walking up to homes. So if they ever make a comment along the lines of, oh yeah, I think my windows are fine, then you can say, oh, well actually the reason I stopped by your home, come here, I just noticed you have tint failure or seal failure, or your grids are fading, or your blinds are getting roasted through your window. And then the last issue you're gonna see very commonly is a worn out screen. Okay, so you can see the screens, most screens are just nylon mesh. They just disintegrate in the sun, they turn gray, they turn white, and then the wind starts to just blow holes in them. People hate their screens. Most people are missing half of them. Okay, so now you have all of this information, you have this background in windows. The most important thing for you to remember is that if the window is not our exact type of window, European bevel, stucco flange, very energy efficient, dark green tint, and it looks new, you're knocking that home, even if the windows are replaced. Now, a one-liner that you can use if you're knocking on windows that you're like, hey, I'm walking up to this home, I'm feeling nervous because they look somewhat new, they definitely have been replaced at some point. Don't let that get in your head. Reason number one, you will be shocked at the amount of people that absolutely hate their windows that were put in their home about 5 years ago because they're just a builder's grade. I know people that have brand new homes, okay, and they just have cheap Amsco windows in their homes, and they're already having seal failure, they're having tint failure, they're leaking air, and they're broken. Like, I kid you not, in less than a year, people are having these problems with their builder's grade windows, okay? That is not gonna happen with our windows. Feel confident in knocking those homes. If you knock the home and you start out and say, hey, reason I stopped at your house, I noticed you guys have replaced these windows at some point in the past. Was that you guys? And if it wasn't them, then great. You just continue your pitch like normal, because to that customer, those windows are original to when they bought the house. If they say, oh, that was us, you're asking, okay, how long ago did you replace those windows? Then they're gonna say, whatever, you know, could have been 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. If it was recent, I'd say newer than 10 years old, then I'm asking, awesome. Yeah, that's what I figured. They did look pretty nice. I was just wondering, did you replace all of them in the home, or did you just replace these ones up front? And then if they replaced all of them, say, awesome, just wanted to check, because a lot of people don't do everything at once. But have a wonderful day, and then you walk away. No biggie, okay? If they didn't replace them all, then you're gonna continue through your pitch and see if we can sell them on looking at the rest of their windows.